What's the one speaking habit that Elon Musk and Donald Trump share that could also be secretly making your employees cringe? When I first became a manager, I unknowingly made this same mistake, and it cost me the respect of my team. It wasn't until I saw this exact flaw in both Musk and Trump that I realized what I was doing wrong. But once I implemented this simple fix, I regained my team's respect, became a more confident speaker, and improved my leadership. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what the speaking flaw is and how you can easily fix it to gain full respect and buy-in from your team. So what exactly is the fatal flaw that's causing employees to cringe? This one speaking habit is a mistake that many managers make, and it's something so common that even top executives fall into it without even realizing. After reading the book Radical Candor by Kim Scott, I realized why this mistake could be costing even the best managers their teams trust, and the solution to not being cringy. So how do we do that? For this book to make sense, let's look at the 4 types of friends that most of us have had. These 4 types of friends will reveal who Elon and Trump are as leaders, as well who you might be as a manager. If you catch on to which one Elon and Trump are, take your guess in the comments before I reveal the answer. First, we have the supportive friend. Imagine a friend who gives you honest advice because they genuinely want to see you succeed. When you show up late to an important event, they say, "Hey, I know you're normally on top of things, so what's going on? I don't want you to mess up your reputation." You feel both supported and motivated to improve because you know they're just looking out for you. Then we have the enabler friend. This friend notices you're making a mistake but doesn't say anything to avoid hurting your feelings. When you vent about a relationship issue, they say, "Yeah, I'm sure you're doing the right thing," even if they see the red flags. While it feels good in the moment, them not wanting to be honest leaves you with unresolved issues, stopping your growth. Then there's the no filter friend. This friend is brutally honest without showing much empathy. If you're struggling in your career, they might say, "Clearly, you're just not cut out for this. Others would have figured it out by now." You feel criticized and unsupported, questioning whether they truly care about your well-being. Finally, we have the surface level friend. This person isn't really invested in your friendship. When you tell them about a big goal, they give you a vague, dismissive encouragement like, "That's crazy, bro." But then they make snide remarks behind your back like, "He's never gonna hit that goal." You're left feeling confused and sensing they don't really care or support you. So, can you guess who Trump and Elon are? Before I say who they are, what I just showed you is the 4 quadrants of leadership from the book Radical Candor. Just like these friends, managers fall into different quadrants of leadership based on how much they challenge and support their team. The first leader balanced high care with high challenge, pushing his team forward while showing genuine support. The second cared deeply but hesitated to give tough feedback, while the third prioritized results with blunt, uncaring feedback. Finally, the last one simply didn't give a shit. Where do you see yourself on this chart? This might be hard to accept, but most new managers either fall into being too nice or too blunt, which both can have dramatic downsides. As you have probably already guessed, our boys Trump and Elon fall into the too blunt category, which for the average person comes across as cringy. And while they both have had wild success and are billionaires, we don't have those same credentials, so that style just isn't going to work for us. However, by using what I'm about to show you, you'll be able to be like the first friend and be a perfect combination of direct to get results, but also be a manager who cares. So how do we balance our communication style to be like the first friend? If you don't learn how to do this, it's gonna make your job 10 times harder because people either won't listen to you or they won't respect you. So how do we find this balance? I learned how to strike this balance the hard way, and it started with one of my first employees I ever managed. After this story of me basically making a of myself, you'll understand how to fix this. When I first started as a manager when I was about 20, I had an office coordinator named Anna that was a direct report to me. Because of our roles being so intertwined, we had to work closely together. Unfortunately, because I was 20 and I was way too blunt with the things I said, I quickly got under Anna's skin. I also made the mistake of constantly trying to push everyone on my team to be better without trying to learn more about them and what actually motivated them in life. I thought pushing my team hard would get the best results, but for Anna, this backfired. One day, I realized she was only speaking to me when absolutely necessary. Things just kept getting worse between us for weeks, and I didn't do anything about it because in my naive brain, I couldn't accept that it was my fault. Thankfully, I got a wake-up call when my assistant manager Scotty pulled me aside and said something that changed everything. He told me I'm pressing her too hard and I needed to soften up. Otherwise, Anna is talking about quitting. I knew if I didn't do something, I'd lose her, and possibly my whole team's respect, which could also cost me my job. So, as the leader, I accepted responsibility for the situation and made some changes with a few simple steps that you can take and use in your own situation. Step number 1. I made it a point to ask Anna about her day, her home life, her boyfriend, family, etc. Things didn't necessarily change overnight, but after a while, Anna started to open up and talk to me about things she had going on in her personal life. Step number 2. Instead of giving baseless advice like I did before, I just listened and empathized, which is all she was really looking for. And finally, step number 3, I would remember what she told me and occasionally follow up on the situations to show that I remembered. This goes such a long way with people because it shows that you actually care. This saved our working relationship, and thankfully Anna and I became friends moving forward. So what did I learn from this? Well, if you feel like you're being too blunt, focus on listening more and learning about your employees. A few minutes a day can completely transform your relationships. I want you to ask yourself, do you know what motivates each person on your team? If not, take time this week to start those conversations. You might be surprised at the impact. But what if you're on the other side of the spectrum? What if you're naturally too nice and you struggle to give tough feedback? If that's you, what I'm about to show you next is going to make you a more assertive manager that can keep people accountable without losing their respect. So how do you go from being too nice to being a caring but challenging manager? This is something that can be uncomfortable to most new managers, as they don't want to upset the people that they work with every day. However, this is a mistake, and it's hurting your team's performance and growth. Using the next thing I'm about to show you, you'll be able to deliver tough feedback while still keeping the respect of your team. So, how do we do that? Well, imagine you're at the doctor's office. You're there for something serious, a persistent headache that just won't go away. Now, imagine the doctor sees a troubling spot on your scan, but he hesitates to tell you because they don't want to upset you.
Yeah, you look great. No problems here.
You'd be furious, right? In the same way, when we avoid giving tough feedback to our employees, we actually are holding back their growth. Just like the doctor, it's our job to care enough to say what needs to be said. So, how do we deliver bad news in a nice way? If you struggle with this, start small and use these simple steps. Step number 1. Start by giving feedback on small things, like a missed deadline or minor detail, so both you and your team get comfortable with feedback. Step number 2. When giving feedback, use phrases that show you're on their side, like, I'm telling you this because I want to see you succeed, or I think this could really help you grow. Step number 3. Finally, reinforce the idea that feedback is part of their development and that you're invested in their progress. This can make it feel less confrontational and more like mentorship. By delivering tough feedback in a caring way, you show your team that you're invested in their success. And that's what earns you their respect as a leader. Now that you know how to balance caring but direct feedback, does this mean your employees will understand what you're trying to tell them? Sadly, those things don't go hand in hand. Just because you've mastered the emotional side of speaking to your employees, it doesn't mean your message is gonna come out crystal clear. Go watch this video next and I'll show you how to speak like a pro so that your employees always walk away knowing exactly what you need from them.